Hello, beautiful people. This helps me stay consistent on YouTube every day, and I'll tell you why in my next episode. But now, let's get into why I decided to record this video today. Emotional intelligence is also known as the EQ. It's often defined less by what people do and more of what they have the discipline to avoid. It's about the pause between a stimulus and a response. Here are several things emotionally intelligent people generally stay clear of. One is reacting in the heat of a moment. High EQ individuals understand that emotions are data, not instructions. They don't let a surge of anger or frustration dictate their immediate words of action. Instead, they pause. They practice the pause, allowing the logical brain to catch up with the emotional one before responding. You don't just jump into conclusion, and you don't just react in any moment at a particular point in time. So that's what a person with a high Q would normally do on a normal day.
This right here is my favorite thing ever in the history of forever.
Point two will be dismissing others' feeling. You rarely hear an emotional, intelligent person say you are overreacting or it's not that big of a deal. They recognize that everyone's subjective experience is valid to them, even if they don't agree with the logic of a person's feeling. They acknowledge the reality of emotion itself, so they don't just cut people down just like that. Point three, playing the victim. When things go wrong, they avoid the "why is this happening to me" trap. Instead of externalizing blame or wallowing in helplessness, they focus on what they can control, their own perspective, and their next move. That is what you should target, not other means or way of running from the exact point. Now, four, avoid difficult conversations. They don't avoid difficult conversations. While it's tempting to keep the peace by staying silent, emotionally intelligent people know that unresolved tension creates long-term toxicity. They address issues directly backed with tact, prioritizing clarity over comfortable silence. So you're always comfortable in where you are. No, that's not cool. Now, point five, letting perfectionism rule. We understand that perfect is often the enemy of good and a major source of unnecessary stress. They strive for excellence but accept that mistakes that inevitably served it, and it's for potential growth. It's an essential tool for growth. So the key comparison of this, the intelligence, emotional intelligence and low, is that emotional intelligence people is not a fixed trait. It's a muscle that gets stronger with international practice. Even the most self-aware people have moments where they slip up. The differences is they notice the slip and course correct quickly. Building emotional intelligence is like another form of training consistency. Small repetitions that eventually becomes your default settings. Small repetitions that eventually becomes your default settings. They are habits. So here are 4 practical exercises you can start doing today. And one will be the labeling drill. Research shows that simple naming an emotion can reduce its intensity. Several times a day, stop and ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Move beyond good or bad. Try to be specific. Let's have an example like, I'm feeling restless, undervalued, I'm feeling optimistic. I write it down. it shifts the experience from the emotional center of your brain to the logical center. It gives you more control of the exact situation at that point in time. So that's point one. The two, this is how I did it. I second my thought. I do that second thought practice. In the situation where we can't always control our first thought, which is often a snap judgment, but we can control the second one. Yes, that exercise. When someone cuts you off in traffic or you miss a deadline, you notice your first thought. Yes, that first thought. Like, example, maybe you say, they're so disrespectful. Immediately, it follows up. You see the second thought that comes after that offers a different perspective. Like, let's have an example. Maybe they are having a personal emergency. Immediately you think of that. It builds the habit of empathy and prevents immediate reactive anger. So it also helps you to level your anger issues. It helped me, and I want to tell you so it can help you too. So there are 4. The third point is active listening summaries. In your next conversation, this is what you're going to do. Before you give your opinion or your answer or on a question, try to summarize what the other person just said. Maybe you say, so if I'm hearing you correctly, you are saying X is that, right? That it forces you to listen to understand rather than listening to respond. It also makes the other person feel deeply heard. So it can lower tension instantly for people who are, maybe they are talking to you but they are feeling tensions. It can help them. And the 4th point will be the 3-game filter. Before speaking, especially when you are frustrated, run your words through these 3 gates. Is this true? Is this necessary? Is it kind? If it doesn't pass at least 2 of these, consider rephrasing or staying silent. That is the best thing you should do. So it's a simple emotional intelligence thing I'm doing for you. Let's do our weekly check-in. So here's a simple weekly pro tip you can start with per day. Start with just one of these. The 5 points I listed earlier, then the 4 points I listed here. Trying to master all of them at once can lead to the perfectism trap we mentioned earlier. So don't try to compile all of them. Just take it one at a time, 5 minutes. Just take one point and emphasize on it. Focus on that. Have a purpose on it. Thank you for sitting in the light with me. I'm Miss P, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye, loves.